So that's just the agenda that we're going to cover, and so it takes as long as it takes this morning, but it won't be any more than the hour. So just a bit of an update about where we are now. You'll all be aware that we had the launch event on the 21st of September. And then following that, I asked all schools to look at that menu of opportunity and just tick next to those CPD sessions and courses and resources that you thought that your school would be interested in as part of this project. So I've got a big spreadsheet which shows me what all the schools have ticked, and all of the schools have completed that menu of opportunity now. One of the things that came out really strongly through that was that a lot of the schools would like to be involved with the PE Scholar, and that's Will Swades. So if you were at the launch, you'll have met Will Swades at the launch there, and he works with the PE Scholar with a couple of other people who are working in the educational field across the country, and they have the PE Scholar. And so what we did was we signed all schools up as members of the PE Scholar, so you will have access to, they'll be sending you emails regularly, and you'll have access to the resources that are on their website, so do go on there and have a look. And then all schools have been signed up to one of the CPD courses that the PE Scholar offers, and that's Awesome PE in 5 Ways, or the more longer PE Architecture course. So Awesome PE in 5 Ways, all online. You have been signed up to that. You'll be getting emails about it. So do log in and go through and have a look at those modules. And then we have the touch points with Will. So we've had one already, and then there'll be another touch point with Will coming up on the 5th of January. So that is a session that's bespoke to our schools in Surrey. He will come online and work through with schools things that you want to touch on. So they are really valuable bespoke sessions with you. So do please join that on the 5th of January. And we've also got some people on the longer PE Architecture course, and you can go on and start to work through that content at any time. And I'm quite lucky, I can see who's been on there and who's working through those modules. So I know it's quite a busy time at the moment, but do go on there and have a look. We sent out to all schools about the Studio U resources. That's a Sport England resource, which is looking at 6 different areas of activity, including yoga, Pilates, combat and barre, and a couple of others. But on there, they have got instructors who will lead sessions around those activity areas. And so you can put the video on and use that with some of your groups in school if that's the kind of thing they want to be doing. If they want to be doing yoga, but you haven't got a yoga instructor, you could use the Studio U resources. They are free, and they're a Sport England resource online. So do have a look at that. And what I like about the Studio U resources is that they haven't got your typical very slim, very tall looking instructors. They have got your average person on the street delivering those sessions. They've got females, they've got males delivering those. So have a look, and the sessions are 45 minutes or an hour. You can kind of choose how long you want to do those for. We've got 6 schools who expressed an interest in working on the Be Your Best Teens project, which is a project run with Active Surrey around trying to help teenagers with things like drugs, alcohol, and general health and well-being, and that's working with the nurse team. So that's a really good project that some schools have been working on. And what happens is the BYB teams, project team, the delivery team will come into school and deliver those sessions in your school. So as I'm talking, these are the things that have already started, but don't think, oh, we weren't involved in that, we've missed it, because you can get involved with any of this at any point. So if you think, oh, there's something going on that we really want to get involved in, then do please drop me an email, because you can always join in at any time. So the BYB Teens project, working with a target group of young people in your school, looking at some of those health, well-being challenges that they might be facing in their lives. So they do a nice activity where I think they put these goggles on, which makes it feel like they've been drinking quite heavily. So they get to see what the world looks like through those goggles. And hopefully that's enough to put them off that drinking too much. Then we've got 8 schools who I've linked to the Healthy Schools team. So they're working with the Active Surrey Healthy Schools team and looking at how can we get that accreditation for our school of being a healthy school. And again, if you want to work with the Healthy Schools team, drop me an email. And then we've got 7 schools at the moment working with the Surrey Outdoor Learning team, and they're looking at how can we develop outdoor and adventurous activities within those schools. So the Surrey Outdoor Learning team have contacted the schools, and then they're going to devise a plan of how they can move forwards with outdoor and adventurous activities in those schools. So lots going on at the moment, because I've got another slide of where are we now. We've got some schools who were interested in the Mymove app, and the Mymove app is for the young people to have on their phones, a little bit similar to Strava, but Strava GPS tracks the person, whereas Mymove, the Mymove app doesn't. So in terms of safeguarding, it's very good for our young people, but they can track and monitor any activity that they do outside of school. So the schools that are working with Mymove can then see on their dashboard, they'll be able to see which young people have done how much activity, which days, how much they're doing across the week. And they also rate on the app how they feel about the activity. So you can see that if a young person is doing some activity but is not feeling so great about it all the time, you might want to pick that up in school in terms of their health and well-being and why they're feeling like that about the physical activity. So we've got a number of schools that have been doing an induction process with the Mymove app and really getting to understand what information they get out of that, how they can use it across school. And we've got 2 schools so far that have actually signed up, have their licenses, and are rolling that out with their schools. And the others are coming on board as they have their induction sessions. We've had our first bit, I spoke a little bit earlier about these bespoke sessions with Will Swades. And he's from the PE Scholar, but works in a university working with teacher trainees in PE as well, and has worked for the Youth Sport Trust. Lots of experience in the education and PE field. And he joined us for the session and ran it and really looked at what are the things that schools want to talk about, what are the challenges you're facing, and how can we take you on that journey using the CPD through the PE Scholar. But then these bespoke sessions, and we've got 5 of them across the year, are really to work with you, and it's your opportunity to speak to an expert in the field. The first newsletter went out on the 1st of December, so that went out last week. So I know that feedback has been, there's been an awful lot of emails, Emma. You're emailing, excuse me, once or twice a week, trying to tell us all about everything, but it's quite confusing. So I have sent out a newsletter, and in there were 5 articles with links to booking for some of the sessions. So in there was the box CPD, in there was information around mentoring for teachers, top sports ability, the resource link was in there. So please do have a look at the newsletter if you haven't, because you might find that some of the things are going through the newsletter, and I don't want people to miss them because that's where they are. The other thing I will be working on is trying to get a calendar on Google Docs or Google Forms, so that you can always access a calendar and look at, okay, in January, what are the things that are happening around the SETT programme, and how do I book onto those? So I will be trying to get that shared by the new year.
Okay.
In terms of top sports ability, they are inclusive PE resources, and you can access those. I sent those out in the newsletter. That will help you if you're wanting to look at how do we really become fully inclusive in terms of our PE offer. And I sent out in the newsletter, there's a website that you go to, and you just need a code for Surrey, and that was in that newsletter as well. And there are other inclusive resources that I've signposted to, including all about autism, all about me. So how do I include young people with autism in my PE sessions, and a couple of others. So if you've missed those and you'd like them, do drop me an email and just say, oh, I've missed those inclusive resources. Could you send them out again? We've had a meeting with our 2 consultants that we're working with, and they are with us this morning. So we've got Alex, Becky and Julie on the call with us this morning, and they're going to talk to you in just a little bit about how we're going to be working with the consultants going forwards. And we've already got 6 schools who came to that consultant session and said, actually, do you know what? We'd really like to work with the 2 consultants moving forwards on how we can take our PE team on that journey and move forwards. And that's really open to looking at, and I'll leave the consultants to talk about what they're going to do, but it's open to you to decide what's the best way forward for your school and how you want to work with them. So again, you haven't missed the boat. They are here this morning to talk to us a little bit more about what they're doing. I have contacted a number of national governing bodies of sport. So in that expression of interest, the menu of opportunity form, there was a lot of specific CPD that schools were looking for around some of the activities that you might already be delivering in school, or some of the activities you want to deliver. And so
I have been contacting the governing bodies and trying to arrange for them to come and deliver some CPD in sport specific activities. So those will be coming on board. And then we had an opportunity for schools to become Youth Sport Trust Changemaker schools. So that is membership to the Youth Sport Trust. The Youth Sport Trust is a national charity that believes in building a brighter future for young people through PE and school sport. And if you become a Changemaker school, you then get access to all of their membership benefits. So access to all their resources, any latest news and updates that might come out. They tend to take some of the government information that comes out and put it into a version that is school friendly and easy to read rather than a 9100 page document. So they do things like that. And through the partnership with the Youth Sport Trust, we've got some CPD coming up as well. So that's the kind of where we are now and things that have been going on so far. Moving forwards, this is what's in the pipeline, and this has been updated or will be updated as of a meeting I had yesterday, but just so that you can start to think about some of these dates, the 5th of January is our next online bespoke session with Will Swathes. That will be an after school slot. That is bookable through Book When, and I can, if you haven't got the link to book those, then please let me know and I'll send those out again. So you can book onto that hour session with Will Swathes, 4:30 to 5:30 after school on the 5th of January. The 21st of January, we've got our first The Box course, which is the England boxing course, which a number of people, I think we had 35 schools in the end, said they were interested in that. We can only take 17 on the box course at a time. Those bookings are live on Book When. So if you want to do the box course on the 21st of January, do get on there and book a place on that course. I think we've had 6 bookings so far, so there are still 11 left. So do get on there and have a go at booking onto the box. And that is all about how you can bring boxing into your school. And then the 25th of January, we have got the AFP Level 4 qualification in supporting young people's wellbeing through physical education. We've got Katie on the call with us. She's going to give a little bit more of an update about what that is and what it involves. But that is a 5-module course. And I'll leave that one to Katie to talk about. On the 1st of February, we've now got the inclusive PE course booked in. That is a 3-hour course, so just half a day. We're going for a morning, 9 till 12. And we're going to be going to East Horsley Village Hall. That hasn't gone live on Book When as yet, but will be live from the beginning of January, and I will be putting those links out in a newsletter that comes out right at the beginning of the start of the new term. In the newsletter from last week that came out on the 1st of December, I talked about the mentoring course for teachers. Now, this is for you as a teacher if you want to learn the skills to mentor either other teachers or newly qualified teachers. But if you want to do some CPD for yourself to be able to mentor other teachers, then you can book on to that course. So you just need to let me know that that's what you're interested in. And we've already got 2 teachers on board from one of the schools in the SETT programme. And one of the things I'm going to say is there's lots going on, there's lots in the pipeline, and it doesn't have to be you as the PE lead that is doing all of these things. So you might be sending other people from your PE department. You might want to look and think about who the health and wellbeing lead is in your school, because it might be them that goes onto the AFP Level 4 qualification, or it might be the person that's leading on the personal development strand of Ofsted for your school. So think about this as a whole school offer. Who are the right people to be attending some of these courses? And it doesn't have to be you as the PE lead. It might be somebody else within the school who you want to be helping you in the PE department, or because it's part of their remit. As I mentioned earlier, we've got our consultants who are now working with some individual schools, and I'm looking, the 2 national governing bodies that I'm furthest down the line with at the moment are rugby and table tennis, and so we will be putting on a rugby CPD session and a table tennis CPD session. Table tennis will be a Monday morning for 3 hours. Rugby is more likely to be an afternoon or an after school session. And the rugby will be contact rugby with some refereeing in there, because that's what the schools that put rugby on their menu of opportunity have said is what they were looking for. So that's what we're going to be doing. And again,
All schools are welcome to join these and send teachers on these, even if you didn't put them on your expression of interest. So please do, if you're interested, look out for those opportunities. We are going to set some regular teach meet sessions for the SETT programme schools. So we're going to set some sessions where myself, Alex and Julie would like to meet with you, and I'm going to leave the two of them to talk a little bit more about those in a minute. And then the last two things I've got on the what's in the pipeline, we have just set the date for My Personal Best, which is a Youth Sport Trust CPD, all around how do we embed the life skills and delivery of the life skills within the PE curriculum. And then the Girls Active courses, a number of schools said they were really interested in how do we get our girls interested in PE. And so we've got the Girls Active courses coming up. So I've set some dates for those. They will be coming out in the new year to you. And with the Girls Active course and the My Personal Best course, there is a set of resources that you will get as well if you join those online sessions. So do sign up for those when those come out. I can't tell you the dates because we're still waiting on a tutor, but we have set some provisional dates, so I will send those out. So I'm going to hand over to Katie, hopefully, to talk about what is the level 4 qualification that I've mentioned is up and running and alive for you to book onto. So Katie, over to you.
Thanks, Emma.
I think you're going to have to tell me to go up, slide on or something.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, there's only a couple of slides, so it's fine. So much going on. I wish I was teaching in a secondary school in Surrey. So many opportunities. It's amazing. So level 4 qualification in supporting pupils' well-being through physical education. We know that physical activity, physical education, so important to mental health and emotional, social well-being. I don't need to tell you that. That's why we do the job that we do. But I think it is being placed really forefront now in schools, and I challenge you to look at your whole school development plan and see if there must be something on there linked to emotional, social well-being or mental health. So this really can contribute to whole school development. Can we move the slides on, Emma, please? So key outcomes of this course is that we'll look at the importance of emotional, social well-being. The first module kind of looks at what it is, how it affects young people, and the links it has to the wider social and cognitive development. And it makes reference to the Good Childhood Report and the 5 Ways to Wellbeing. So they're really key strands that run through the whole course. So we're looking at it as a whole. We'll also then really delve into PE and PE pedagogy and how emotional social well-being fits into all of that. We'll look at what's happening currently in our schools. We'll also look at how we can empower our young people and enable our young people to look after their own emotional social well-being, and give them some sort of tasks. And then kind of the last bit is really advocating emotional social well-being and how physical activity can contribute to that, not only within our departments but whole school. That will involve a presentation to or 2 separate presentations, one to kind of your department and then one to senior leaders and leaders of other departments in your school. So there's lots of things going on. It involves teaching a lesson, evaluating a lesson linked to emotional social well-being and the 5 ways to well-being, giving the students a task that they can carry out at home, and evaluating that, and then the advocacy, so kind of 2 presentations. And theoretically it's 10 guided hours, tutor hours, so 5 sessions online. Sorry, this is the next slide. So 10 guided tutor hours and 20 independent study hours, usually over about 2 terms. I mean, I haven't actually physically done it, so I'm not quite sure how long it takes. I have taken some people through it, and they've said that it might take a little bit longer. It's just making sure you've got the time to fit in those presentations. So it is, you know, it's a really good course. The content's really good, and you know, it really evokes lots of great discussion going forward. So really key for us at the moment. So it would be great if you could sign up. I know Emma said there was quite a lot of interest, but obviously we're starting in January, so yeah, be good if you could sign up pretty soon. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Katie. We are starting on the 25th of January with that, with module 1. And I think, as Katie was saying, this is an association for PE, so a qualification that's recognised, as it says on the screen. And I think it says there it's equivalent to the first year of a bachelor's degree. Is that right, Katie?
Yeah. So yeah, it's like a foundation course. Yeah, first year.
So definitely something to add to your CV there in terms of that piece around well-being. So if you do want to sign up to that, the links were in the newsletter that I sent out last week. If you go on to the book when link, you'll find that it shows you when all of the 5 modules are. So when you go onto that, the first one's the 25th of January. You will then see when all the 5 modules are. So you will need to be available for all 5 of them to be able to complete that course. If you're really keen and there's any issues with that, let me know, and then we can see what we can do as well. Perfect. Thank you very much, Katie. So we'll move on, and we'll move to Alex and Julie to talk about what the consultant CPD package is all about, and then a little bit about the teach meets that we're going to be running. So over to you, Alex and Julie.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. I know that you'd probably be in school early anyway, so we're just adding into your day. Alex and I are just going to bounce a few ideas across to you, and thank you to the schools who've chosen to perhaps have us on board. If anybody still wants to, after this, do get in touch with Emma. So the CPD package is pretty much, as we've said previously, even if you weren't there, I'll just briefly repeat that. We really do see this as your journey. One of the things Alex and I will not do is direct you, and we certainly won't tell you what to do, because we are firm on the idea that it's your time and it needs to be in your way. So we will remain guides, and we'll certainly prompt you along the way and support you and sit beside you, which is in the full manner of assessment, because assessment should be to sit beside that person and have a conversation. So we want you to think about your school community. What are your values and the commitments that ground your school and their plans? And it goes to the school community, to the school, into departments, into the staff, into the pupils. So this is such an amazing array of opportunities that I've just been listening further about. I don't think I've ever, in all my many, many years, heard of so many options available to you. So, you know, grab everything you can and get other people involved. And I'll say that really early doors, because what you don't want is this to be kind of a bit of a weight on your shoulders, like, oh my gosh, we've been given so many things to do, but you can't manage them all, and you certainly can't manage them all. So we said before to start small. There are areas that maybe you look at certain groups of people. It could be pupils, it could be staff, it could be a year group such as year 7, knowing that when I was senior SLT in secondary school, one of my key roles was being in induction, and working in those primary schools gave me such an insight into what happens there, to what happens when we get them to secondary school. And to be honest, I'm perhaps a little bit embarrassed about how I say the word ignorant. It was just that I just didn't know, because it's 2 different worlds, and maybe we should have a beautiful, clear pathway and bridge to that area. So that's another area you can always look towards. What could you do to support some of your primary schools, and what can we do to get some of those primary teachers coming in and settling in with our year 7s? There are many, many ways you can do. So Ofsted always, you know, sorry to mention that awful word in the beginning of this lovely day, but they do speak of the 3 I's, and I know Alex and I have had lots of conversations about this. You know, they're talking about what is your intent, and to be honest, that is what you need to be looking at. But for me, you go to the other end, and what's the impact? What do you want your students to know, or pupils to know? But what do you want them to show? What do you want year 11 or one of your sixth form or further ed people to look like when they leave? What do you want them to have as well? So start thinking about what you want to focus on. The core curriculum framework, which I know is possibly not more of your issue, but it is for us when I work in teacher training. When we send our students in to learn with you, that's somewhere else that it links so closely to the early career framework. So, you know, it's about being continuity, it's about being connected, having structure for progress. And again, that mentoring that Emma was discussing, that'd be an amazing one to be able to do, because that ECF 2 years is a much longer, but personally I think it will be a more balanced way. So we've got lots of things, but as we've said, reflect securely on your why and be secure with that why. And if you don't know what that why is, that's what we're here for, and we'll move on to that in a minute. So we will have discussions about in a 30-minute phone call or Zoom call. You can just chat, you can blast, you can come up with some ideas, you can tell us something about your school, and then following that 30 minutes you can then choose to have, you know, up to 2 hours or a 3-hour or full day with us, or a mixture, whatever is there. So we're with you, and it's unique and it's just for you and your school, but there will be opportunities where we'll say, oh, do you know that so-and-so is using that, coming up with that idea as well, and we can then start to pair you and become more of a cluster as well. If that it's quite nice to have support, isn't it? Key thing is that we would like you to have, is which are all on that screen, to really do consider beyond your PE. So beyond the PE for me, we've just been hearing about that level 4 course, emotional social well-being. Again, Ofsted is really drilling down into that, working out what are you doing beyond just the physical. So for me, the personal development strand is an amazing one. And Alex, please jump in. But for me, I know my PhD was all about care. To be honest, I cared about and I cared for, but I certainly don't think I cared with enough, which is where it really is that dialogue and working with your students, even though we thought or may think we do. I think it's a beautiful time to have good, deep conversations. And maybe that's what we can do, because if you feel that having that position in school is something that won't allow that to happen, that's definitely what we can do. Alex, is there anything you want to add into that?
No, Julie, I think you've covered everything.
Okay, cokes. So yeah, I mean, oh yes, I'm going to jump in and add to my own little conversation. We would love to come into your school now. We're aware of bubbles, we're aware of COVID, etc. at the moment. So having that 30-minute conversation before Christmas would be amazing, which then gets us to set up some ideas and some plans with you. And then we could come into school from January onwards, and just getting a feel of the school, getting to know people in senior leadership as well, hearing what is going on. That's actually our hope and wish, but we're here for virtual or for school visits, okay? And we build on your why with you. So moving quickly on to our teach meets. Those teach meets are, again, amazing. I've been to quite a few within our HE bracket, where lots of schools come and share what's going on with maybe some of our ex-trainees who are now amazing teachers, just hearing about things. But one of the key things is that we'd like this to be a safe space. Now, safe spaces means you could come, you can talk, and we'd all be in this community where we sit, we listen, we acknowledge and we understand, and it isn't running off and going, did you hear about so-and-so? So safe spaces, we'll certainly create those for you. And to be honest, we all need those. We all need a time to be able to just talk and share ideas and blast a few concerns at the same stage. So We will hopefully come up with some key themes and focus points, but again, it comes back to you. What would you like to hear about? What do you want to know? And I'm just going to throw an idea. We could get some guest speakers to come in, and we could get the colleagues from around all the different places that we're interconnecting with, and give a 15-minute short blast, and then it'll create discussion and ways to take things into your practice. So there's one major suggestion there. Yeah, as it says, questions, responses, sharing all your ideas, to hear good practice, to hear about ideas, to get a feel of what's going on in other schools. So amazing, because usually we play against each other in matches, and we get a score out of it, but this is a time for you to come together and really support one another. So I would really hope that there could be some collaboration, and again, Alex and I would be very excited if we could even get something written up in a research kind of paper for you and with you, and even some resources to cross-fertilize. Let's get some ideas going out. So all these lovely opportunities you've got ahead of you, if you're sending people on them or yourself, bring them back, make them work for your community, and then blast it out. And some of you could then become little hubs for excellence. Who knows? But these teach meets are going to be set up, and it's about one-ish a month-ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Julie. Yeah, so I will be getting those teach meet dates out to everybody very soon. But yeah, the idea is we will have one at least every half term, so they'll be in there, and they do look like they are kind of one a month. So I just wanted to share a little bit of practice with everybody. I mean, it is early days. We had the launch at the end of September. But because the SETT funding just runs for a year, that is why there are so many opportunities on offer to you, but that we've got them in such a short space of time, which is why Julie reiterated, as I said, is it's not just about you as PE lead. It is about finding the right person in the school to take on board some of these CPD sessions or to attend some of these courses, so that it doesn't all sit on your shoulders. But I wanted to share a little bit of practice with you. So this is from Lara, who is at Weydon School. She has started the modules on the PE Scholar. It's early days, but she just has put together, and I won't read it to you, but she's put together a little quote that's on the screen about how she's found starting on those modules and working in terms of the stuff that's on the PE Scholar PE Curriculum Architecture course. So that's the longer course that she's working on. But when I spoke to Lara, she's looking to do some student voice to really dig a little bit deeper than what we found out through the Sport England survey that the students did for her in the summer holidays before we started this programme. So that's something that they're looking at as a school. But if you are, do have a look at those modules. You can work through them at your own speed, but do get on there and make use of those free CPD opportunities that you've got online with the PE Scholar. And if you don't know how to log in and you're not getting the emails, then do let me know, because they have been coming through. So I'm going to stop sharing so I can actually see people on the screen. Let me go back to, here we go. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see everybody, which is brilliant. So the last bit of the session is just to say, has anybody got any questions that they'd like to ask? So lots of things that you've just been told about. There's a lot of different things that are going on for schools. And one of the things that I didn't mention is that after Christmas, we will be coming out with some resources for you around how do I advocate more widely about the benefits of PE, school sport and physical activity. So there is somebody currently working for us on a set of resources, a toolkit for you in schools to use to work with students around what are the benefits. And if you remember back to the launch, we looked at that data, which clearly said that young people knew they needed to be active, but they weren't really sure why and the benefits of that. So we've done some work about some resources you can use in tutor time or in assemblies with young people. So you'll get a pack in the new year. There is also going to be in there some resources about how can I work with other teachers across the school, because you'll remember the data showed us 22% of your colleagues don't see the value of the subject at all. So we've done some work around how can you advocate the power of PE, school sport and physical activity for all staff. And there will be some things that you could use in maybe staff inset training or staff briefings in there. And then we've got some work around how do we then influence governors and the parent body of a school to show them the benefits that it makes, so that there is that continuous cohesive message going out to all that is involved in your school community network. So there's all those resources that will be coming out to you in the new year as well. So there is a lot, and I understand that there's lots of things that we're asking, but do make sure you're kind of spreading that out across your department and across the school. Look for the health and wellbeing lead. Who is leading on the personal development strand of Ofsted? Who are the other people in school that we can get involved in this project? Okay, so I'm going to stop talking and ask, has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask? Would it be possible to, Andy, would it be possible to resend a template of the student voice form? So that was a form that was run by Sheffield Hallam University. So it's something, Andy, that schools went online and got their students to fill in. I can see what I can find in terms of those questions though, and see if I can get you like a Word document with the questions on it, so you can have a look at those, definitely. Thank you. You can come off mute if you've got any questions.
Emma, can I ask a favour of the school? Is that all right? Or schools?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. In my other role, I have designed a course which is pogo riding, and while some people go, "Ooh, never heard of that one," which shocked me because some of our students didn't know what a pogo stick was, and that I suddenly felt very old. And if any of you now go, "I don't," please don't tell me, because I will actually cry for the rest of the day. We've got a pogo riding course which is about fits again beautifully into the emotional, social and physical and mental well-being. So I am looking for 2 schools for us to come in and work with some of your pupils for around about an hour. You could have a short time, like 40 minutes with one group and 40 minutes with another group, and for us to just kind of show you and show the children how easy it is to ride a pogo stick, but actually how much mental, social, creative skills are called upon. So if anyone would like to have us host us for about an hour or 2 max, do get in touch, because it's a course that we have a CPD for you as teachers. We're actually going virtual as well, so you can do it online, or you could maybe become a hub. But I'm really looking for 2 schools so we can come in. We've tested it out with children, but actually I want to get into the secondary school. I've done it more for primary 5 and 6, but it works beautifully wherever it is. So pogo riding would exhaust them. So if you want a group to be quiet for about an hour afterwards, get us in for half an hour beforehand, because they are absolutely exhausted. I had England uni players, rugby players, and they couldn't speak, which is really good by the end of it, because the fitness side is amazing, but it's the interaction as well, so it's all about a social aspect as well, and the mental wellness. So do get in touch. Thank you, Emma.
Not a problem, thank you.